Okay. Hi, Zoom. Welcome, Avis. Hi, Facebook. Welcome to H2O Mondays. You hear the chime in the background. That's my bird clock. Welcome, welcome, welcome. H2O Mondays was designed so we'd have a weekly opportunity to plug in and make sure we're on the right path. And Avis, remember, we're being recorded, so this is going to go out there on YouTube. Thanks for joining. Hopefully, my cousin will join too. Good to see you. So H2O Mondays, H2O is Monday. It's the element for water. We're predominantly water. The planet is water. Let me show myself. I've got myself not showing on Zoom. So hey me. And that the two Harriets, my Aunt Harriet, I actually featured her on LinkedIn and Facebook on Friday. I got a lot of responses. Even my Bostonian cousins were reaching out. That's my Nana. So I love to her and the historical person she plays in our family. And then, of course, Harriet Tubman, who is my ancestral aunt, I say. And will always have her on my desk. And we'll be talking about couple of other women, but primarily Habit 2 is a part of H2O Mondays, and that's why it was really started. Begin with the end in mind, affirmations. The word that stands out to me is prayer. That doesn't fit everybody's language, so I love that we begin with the end in mind because it's really handing it over to a bigger power. So we are also in the season of nonviolence. Today is day 42 of 64 days left. If you want to read Mother Teresa's recipe for peace on my website, we're still trying to get some activity out there. We're in Black History Month was February, so now we're in Women's History Month, and this is day 11 for that. And then we're in Lent. Today is day 13 for that. March is also understanding the 12 powers of unity is a book that I'm reading, and we decided for Happy Academy that this month is on understanding. So, with all thy getting, get understanding, which is actually habit 5: seek first to understand, then to be
Then to be
understood. And
understood.
with that said, I'm going to open with you can read Mother Teresa for yourself online. I'm reading it every day for the 64 days. I haven't done that in a while. But I'm going to read A Pocket Full of Hope as we talk about women in business and women in history. This is Mary C. Crowley. I've been reading her every day. I'm an entrepreneur because of home interiors. And even before home interiors, I think I was a entrepreneur because of Girl Scout cookies. If you're out there selling Girl Scout cookies, then you're an entrepreneur because you got to get a certain amount and then you're getting your badges for camping and all that. So I really started early as a Girl Scout. My granddaughter Lyric is a Girl Scout. So anybody's out there supporting Girl Scouts, you're helping to support early entrepreneurs. But in between regular W-2 jobs, I had home interiors and Mary Kay. I tried Mary Kay. I'm more of an internal person. Mary Kay is more of an external person, but she had some internal power going on because these two ladies actually knew each other. And so I'm mentioning their names because they stood out in business as entrepreneurs when women were not really in the rights of having a business, and they developed their own. So for March 11th, in the final analysis, every one of us must answer the question, but who say ye am, who am I? Someone put this in the way. Imagine that all the religious leader of both cult and man-made flavors were gathered before the law or that which is the higher power and asked to name the description of their situation or what they think it is. And they will say the source of divine energy, the essence of all consciousness, and the holy other, the ground of being, the infinite transcendent. After all these words have been spoken and all the descriptions made, it really ultimately comes down to this discipline, but who you say I am. So that's what habit 2 is. Who do you say you are? because habit one is being proactive. So that means we got to pause and decide that because we're the programmer. So if we're all over the place, we can't really program. And then we write the program as habit two. So who am I? What program are we writing for ourselves? Are we writing a peaceful program? Are we writing and what I would say an orderly program. And that's what the seven habits are geared towards. It's geared towards us having an orderly life because I believe that law and order, I love that show that comes on TV, but I believe that natural laws, fundamental truth are orderly. The seasons come and the seasons go. We're about to get into spring. Everybody had the spring forward on yesterday. I forgot all about it myself. I wasn't watching anything. And then automatically our phones update. So the few clocks I have around the house, I went and updated that. But the season without the clocks changing are automatically going to change. And that's what the law does. If we work with the law, we plant when we're supposed to plant and we harvest when we're supposed to harvest. So we reap what we sow. If we don't sow anything, we won't reap anything. And if we reap positive, if we sow positivity, we will reap positivity. So what are we planning? Who am I? There is a page in the book that I will read before we close out with the seven habits. But I want to get to two people when it comes to women history because we did a couple people last week. The two women I mentioned that I would include this week is Eleanor Roosevelt. She's the first one. I actually have her on my desk as well. And the other person is going to be Ruth Bader Gainsburg, RGB as they called her. So I like Eleanor first because she was actually born October 11th. I'm an October 11th baby. And she was born in 1884 and she died November 7th, 1962. So I was only about 3 years old when she passed. But Eleanor was an amazing woman. But what stand out, besides her being one of the president's wives and one of the longest standing president's wives, she was interested in the Tuskegee Airmen. And because of that institute, we have flyers that look like me and you, which is an amazing thing. She was a part of that. And I have a relative that we will feature at the end of the month that was a female flyer. Eleanor also was a part of human rights for all humans because we are spiritual beings having a human experience, but oftentimes we don't treat each other very human like. We kind of degrade and belittle. And I heard this recently from some passages that I've been listening to that anyone that belittles someone they're already beneath you. I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. So if somebody's trying to pull you down, they're already down there. So if anything, we want to help lift people up. And that's what the habits do. First, you lift yourself up, and then those who are being proactive will lift themselves up as well. That's what rights are. The quote that I'll leave you with from Eleanor that is near and dear to my heart: nothing can make you feel inferior without your consent. Now, Ruth Bader Gainsburg, she was born in 1933 and she died in 2020. And she was affectionately called RGB. I really like that. And she inspired generations of women to break that gender barrier. She took what Eleanor Roosevelt started to new heights even after facing a gender discrimination herself with her academics goals, she was one of the first Jewish women to serve on the Supreme Court. So we've talked Holocaust and slavery, and here we have two women that were trailblazers and knocked those doors down. And I know that the seven habits did not exist in their day. The word stoicism comes up because I really believe that Stephen Covey went back into ancient times and just revamped the words of the habits with stoicism because it's always taking responsibility for yourself, never blaming anything on anyone else, taking accountability for yourself. And that's what the seven habits do. The first habit is being proactive. So you can't blame anybody for your actions when you have to take responsibility for you. So I said I was going to give you the seven habits every week. This is your way of being orderly with so much disorder in the world. These women create some orderly experiences. So be proactive. That means don't push up against yourself. Just let it go and the universe will work it out. And that means we put what we want in mind. 2 million copies of Birds of a Feather sold, and the new book coming out. Whether I do a new book or not is in question now because I actually submitted it to the publisher and they're all about publishing it. But I want Happy Academy to really boost Birds of a Feather and the company we keep first, and then the next book, we'll figure out how we'll get that out there. So I actually have a new place called The Perfect Note that we're gonna do a book signing soon. I'm actually negotiating that, so look forward to announcing when that is. So that's beginning with the end in mind. And then you put first things first. And so I have a meeting with her tomorrow and we'll set the dates. And that's how we live our lives with everything, paying our bills, making relationships, and we leave our legacy that way. And when we find other people that are playing that way, they have paused and prayed and decided to play or stop and say and sing, however you want to put it, that feels comfortable to you. That's the private victory. And then we can deal with others that are doing that private victory. We um um Habit 4 is think win-win. I think win-win. And then habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Habit 6 is synergize. And then habit 7 is sharpen the saw, taking care of yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually every day. That's why we repeat this. I have to remember this every day. We don't eat once and for all. We don't drink once and for all. We shower every day. We have to know that we're putting first things first, and that's putting that power first, that thing that changes the season, that thing that makes all of us, thing that uh, allows us to be kind, allows us to love, allows us to be of good courage. So with that said, I showed you the book, The Wizard of Oz, last week, and Judy came on today, and it was the story of Judy Garland. And if you know the story of Judy Garland, one of the first big movies that we know that she made was The Wizard of Oz. And that really cost Judy Garland a lot. And I've mentioned that before in the sense that she was such a young girl. I think she was 14 or 15 years age herself, about to be 16 when she was doing the movie. And they actually were going to do um, Shirley Temple, but I think Shirley Temple might have had another picture or something, and it turned to Judy. And as I looked at Judy's Garland's life, one of the things that stood out, she died very early. She was 47 years old. And as I read deeper, I wasn't sure what it was, but it was from a barbiturates overdose. And it seemed like a lot of those ladies back then was overdosing. Dorothy Dandridge, they think that's what happened with her. Marilyn Monroe, they think that's what happened with her. And there were so many Janis Joplin and just so many people that just I think of Amy Winehouse. Is just so many people that just went out that way. And that's when we're looking outside of us and not inside of us for an answer, because so often people are telling us we have to be this, we have to be that. She had to be thin, she had to stay up. Going back to Judy Garland, so she could fit into costumes, so she could look like a little girl. And so they didn't want her to eat, and they wanted her to be up at a certain time, and they wanted her to rest at a certain time. So they got her body externally attached to barbiturates. She married 5 times. She had 3 children, and none of the marriages lasted very long. And she was constantly looking for something outside of herself. This is what the habits are about. The habits are you take responsibility inside of you. Anytime we need validation or approval from some external source, we're becoming dependent on that validational, the validation of that source. Being proactive allows us to know that We pause, decide something different, and do something different. Although this is not a guy, a woman, the guy that comes to mind, Tevin Campbell. There's a song that I love for the foster care program that I'm working on, and it's Tomorrow. And if you would listen to it by Quincy Jones did some beautiful producing with the people in the world. But one of the things about Tevin Campbell is he found that as beautiful as his voice was and as magnificent as Quincy was making his career, it wasn't anything he wanted to do. And I think that there's quite a few artists that decided that they didn't want to go that route. And it's important to know whether it's a good fit for you. And that's beginning with the end in mind. Tevin began with the end in mind. It might have been good money. And, he was working with some outstanding artists, a genius with Quincy, but there were some other components that were going on that only he can speak to that he decided, this business, I think I'm going to try another avenue. And that's what we're here to do too. We're here to seek out what's best for us, be proactive in that. If we're upset about something and if we're reacting to something, that means we're driven by some external source. Anytime we're upset, I don't care who it is, me included, there's something external driving us. And that's when we have to pause and decide, do we really want to go down that rabbit hole, or are we going up and ascending to the next level? And when we know we really want to ascend, we don't really want to bury ourselves in the sand. It's like if you're trying to get out of a hole, you don't keep digging. So what we want to do is raise ourselves up, begin with the end in mind. I hope everybody's working on whatever their goals are for the new year. I have Avis will do our private session so we can get that prayer out there for us. And anybody who wants private time for treatment, spiritual, affirming what you want, please give me a call. My number's on the website. If you know me personally, you already have it in your phone. And that's what I'm doing more of. People are calling me more and more to just pray. We don't have to delve into your past. We don't have to dig deep into any childhood traumas unless you need to, want to. But whatever is at your door now that is pressing, that's what habit 2 is, beginning with the end in mind. That's what spiritual mind treatment is. I'm ready for the next level. I'm ready to be in love. I'm ready to be out of love. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to travel. I'm ready to do voiceovers. I'm ready for my next book. I'm ready for grandchildren. I'm ready for children. I'm ready for a husband. All those things you're putting into law, and law works the way you work it. And with that, we will close out with, oh, I didn't open with, oh, I did do that. Oh, I did want to read from The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, because this is our proactive stance. Now, I want you to think about this. I've read this before, but I know people do this, and I hope I don't do this too often. I hope I pick a quicker than chapter 5. But these are 5 short chapters in being proactive, because we can't begin with the end in mind if we're reactive. And I like the last name of Portia Nelson. It reminds me of my godparents. There's a hole in my sidewalk, and we'll close with this.
Ultra 19137414727.
I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. Oh, yep, I fall in again. I can't believe it. I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a hole in the sidewalk. I see it's there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street. Now, what I would like to propose for us is not to walk down that same street 3 times, not to fall in that hole twice or 3 times. Why do we fall in the same hole? That's why I like Mother Teresa's recipe for peace. The first line is forgive, but don't forget, because if you forget, you will repeat it. That's why Einstein had to make notes, and so did Edison, and anybody who invents anything, any creator of life, which we all are, we're creative of our own lives. If we made a mistake, make note of it, write it down. Let's not do that again. Let's do it a different way, even if it's just slightly a different way. And that will allow us to move into richer living, to keep loving forward. And I like what Disney said, let's keep moving forward, but let's keep loving forward, because loving forward is, that means you're going to love again, even if you got your heart broken, even if you got devastated and betrayed by somebody. If you decide that you're going to move forward, you're going to love forward, because that's all life is. Life is really supposed to be love. If we're doing the opposite of that, that means we're moving ourselves away from law. We're moving ourselves away from that higher power that hangs the moon, the sun, the stars. We don't have to go do nothing. It's just there. So it's available for us too. So keep Birds of a Feather in Mind, order your copy. We're going to have some book signings out there. We're going to get that book out there before we get another one out there. And please donate. There's some big programs that we've got going on in reference to helping children to know at 14 and 15 and before they age out of the foster care system that they are the power and the power is within them. Please join me this Sunday. I'll be speaking in Unity Church in the Mountains. My subject will be, what is your superpower? And you can bring me your superpower. And with all thy getting, this month get understanding, and seek first to understand, then to be understood. And that means listen to your soul first. If it tells you to do something, go do it. So donate, donate, donate. Let us get out there and help happy children. And if you yourself as an adult don't feel that happy, let's get happied up. And I look forward to talking to you. Have a great week by Facebook, and I'll see you in a week. Thanks. All right. Hey, girl.
Hey, lady.